All right. So if you're anything like me, in the past, you've probably had some kind of phone mount where it was suction to the dash or it was in a bean bag or even suction to the window. And I was just sick of those things always failing. The suction would always come off, be it in the hot weather or the cold weather. I'd come out and I'd see it laying on the dash or the bean bags would slide or whatever. So I found this company, Bulletpoint, and they've been around for a little while. But I got a new vehicle and I didn't want to deal with all the suction cup nonsense. So we installed this uh, probably about 6 months ago and we're really liking it, especially the phone holder part. But now it's come time to put in a dash cam because we've gone without one for a while. And this is the RedTiger something or other on Amazon. It has pretty good reviews, but it has a GPS unit, and this is what the suction cup part is on. And I really don't want to put the suction cup on here because I know what's going to happen. Over time, I'm going to come out here and this suction part is just going to fail over and over again. And I'm going to keep finding this laying on the dash or what have you. So the plan is I've got some other bullet point accessories and we're going to mount it to here. And the way you mount this is it actually bolted to the little tray in here that you can pop out. Well, I'm going to drill a hole in that tray, hopefully, run a USB-C wire down here, and I'm not going to use the factory cigarette lighter charger for this. And I don't necessarily need this GPS part because I've already got my phone that's tracking me. I don't need this part to track me. And the dash cam will work without this attached to it. So that's the plan, and we're gonna run you through the process a little bit. Okay, so here's the camera, and the normal way it would mount would be to slide this GPS unit in here, and then this would suction to the windshield. And we don't want to have to deal with that, and we don't necessarily need the GPS thing anyway. So the solution that we're coming up with is that bullet point system, and here's the 3 accessories that we need. This is another ball point that will mount to the base, a tiny little arm, and then this is magnetic, and this will mount here, so it'll look something like this, right, where I can adjust the height and angle of this like this, if that makes sense. And this comes with some magnetic circle disc, and it's a little too big on here. I want to try to make it as clean as possible. And as you can see, it would just look silly like that. So my plan is cut this in half with a Dremel or some tin snips or something and put it right about like that. And about just a little under half of it can be concealed enough and not interfere with this venting or whatever this is, speakers right here. And then should mount and stay in place like that, something like that. So that's the ideal. And here's the original car cigarette lighter adapter, 12 volt, whatever you want to call it. I don't necessarily want this huge chunk of piece just sticking out from my dash. So what I bought was a 10-foot USB-C cable, and you might be able to see in there. I'll show it to you later, but it's got a 90-degree angle on it so that it could be nice and clean. And this is where you would normally plug it in to power it up. Now it does come with a rear view camera as well, and this one's got a 90-degree luckily, so it could still be kind of clean. Oh, there we go. So it would go like that, and then I'd just have to route this to the back windshield and see how it goes. But for cable management, I have these bullet point cable management things, and I know I'm saying bullet point enough, but I'm telling you, I'm not sponsored or nothing like that. Obviously, I'm a small channel, but this stuff works really good. But the camera, the RedTiger, I don't know, it's this camera right here, RedTiger Cam Good, F7NP, I guess. So this thing came with these, and these are pretty much the same thing, some cable management with some self-adhesive on the back. I already got some in the car, and I'll show that to you here in a minute. These just look cleaner. This is just like plastic junk. So we probably won't use those, and then I believe I have some extra one of these for my son's vehicle, and we'll grab those if we need to. But I think these two will be enough to keep it nice and clean, and I'll show you what what these look like currently. All right, so here's the cable management clips, whatever you want to call these, from Bulletpoint, and I've got them running down into the USB down here for my phone charging, and it just keeps it clean, out of the way of the screen. It's not just dangling, flopping all over the place. I mean, this dangles a little bit, but it's enough slack to, when I have my phone up here, to sit there and charge it. It looks good. And then they also have these straps right here to help management. If you're coming from behind or whatever, you can strap on these arms, and they make longer arms and stuff. But the plan is go through here, through the dash, going to come out down here on this side and probably put one here maybe, and then just tie into this one. All right, we've already loosened this up, and the way we did that is we use this panel prior. This actually came with the dash cam, and they use it to run the wires for the rear view camera up all along here, and you can use it up here. But anyway, this is a perfect tool you need for prying this out, because normally it sits flush down here. You just slide it underneath there, at least for the 2021 plus F-150s. But you don't want to use metal. I wouldn't suggest it, because they do make panel removers that are metal, and you run the risk of really scratching some things up if you use those. If you can find a nice sturdy plastic one, then this should work. Now all I gotta do is get I believe it's 7mm bolt in here and unbolt these. Okay, so we got that one piece off. There's two 7mm bolts in here, and I already took those out. And then you can see this lip, how I've already got this raised up because I've already disconnected it. But all I did was use this, and it's pretty flush right there. Just kind of wiggled it into the side there, and then was able to pull this lip out. And then once I got that lip out, you just got to get a little bit of leverage, pull straight up, and these front clips will pop out, and then you kind of work your way to the back. And then this whole thing will pop out, with the exception of there's a connector that goes to the speaker there. You just push this little tab down and pull, and it'll come right out. And then we want to fish the wire down through there. So we were looking at this, and this is for 2021 plus F-150. Mine just happens to be a 2023, but you may be able to see this little gap right here underneath the speaker. And that looks like enough space to run my wire, so I don't think I'll have to do any extra drilling. And that's good. So we've got light shining down there. We couldn't really see it, and we also had to pull off this panel. And we pulled this panel off. That was really easy as well. It's only a 7mm bolt that goes into it, and I'll show you what it looks like in case you don't know what I'm talking about. But it slides out real easy. So this would slide along that ledge, and it's all clipped into there, and it's a 7mm bolt that just holds it in place other than these clips. So it's really easy to get out. You don't have to take the seat out or nothing like that. But we can see light down through here. Might not be able to see it on camera, but we can see the light down in there. And the plan is to take this USB-C cable with the 90-degree angle that we have. We've tied a long string to it so that when we fish it down, and hopefully we'll get it through, we've got that other piece to the camera that does the rear view, rear mirror, whatever you want to call it, the rear view camera. And we're going to want to hook it up too. So we'll just tie the string to it and pull it back up through, so that we don't have to go through a lot of hassle trying to wiggle it up there. But hopefully this will work. Okay, so the original plan was to go down there and on this side to fish this wire through, but I don't think we're going to do that, because I tried it and it's kind of a pain. And then I thought about it, and this is probably going to be way easier. So what we're going to do is take the glove box out, and it's very simple. You just press in from the sides, and it should, I got to use both hands for this. So there you go. It should pop right out. And now I've got a much shorter distance from this side that I can find the string, run it down here, and then fish it back over to the other side, and then plug into there. Okay, that was much easier. So I just fished it through the top, up through there, and came right through the side right here. You can kind of see up in there. Got my little string here to pull back the other piece for the rear view part, and then the rest of it is just running this through underneath here, down through here, and then out to the other side of the dash where you can see the light there. Should be pretty easy. All right, so I'll be honest, I probably could have got away with a 6-foot one of these, but we went with 10 just to be safe. The slack is just up underneath there. You can't see it or nothing. And I'll show you what it looks like on this side. So we got it fished through from the other side, straight across from over there. And then we'll have it hooked down in here. And just so happens there's a little gap right here that we can squeeze it in between there. And I think the panel will go right over it. And the only part that'll be showing is just this little section coming up from right here over into the USB-C port so that we can power it. And we'll probably put one of those cable management things right about here just to keep it clean looking and keep the wire from dangling out on our knees or whatever. And the panel's back in, and that's all you see coming from underneath the dash. And we put one of those cable clips or organizer things in there, and it's black. It's hard to see. It's not that plastic junk, it's rubber. So if I bump up against it, it's not going to break right away. Hopefully it won't get brittle in the winter or hot or the summer seasons. But I think it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty clean. It's better than a bunch of wires all over the place or a big suction cup up there. All right, so I ran into a problem. The USB-C port is not strong enough to, or doesn't have enough power to power this up. I thought it did because I did just test it out on the USB part, this one right here, but not the small one. I just thought it might work, but it didn't. So I went and got an adapter, a USB to USB-C, so I can just plug the cable over to it, but I kept getting the same error. And right now this is currently plugged into the USB, and supposedly if I cover up the two middle pins, then it will keep that or it'll prevent the mass storage error, because you only need the two outer pins on this side and that side to actually power the device. So we're going to try that. And I just use a little bit of electric tape. You can kind of see it in there. Hopefully it'll work. It's a little tight fit sliding in, and then we'll plug the cable that we ran earlier into there. And then we'll use this. Hopefully this works. Give me a minute. And no power, so I'm gonna have to adjust that tape and we'll give it another shot. Okay, I believe the electrical tape was a little too thick and was preventing the outside two contacts from connecting. So it looks like it's working now. It's recording and it's powering, yep, both cameras. And what I used was just regular packaging tape, like Christmas wrapping tape, and you can kind of see it right there, but it's just covering the two middle pins, and the outer two, the one out here and the one out there, are exposed so that they can make contact to power that up. Okay, so now I'm running the cable for the rear camera, and I have to do it from the driver's side because I want as little cable shown as possible. And if I do it on that side, the camera still has to go at this angle. I don't know, maybe I can flip the image on the thing, I'm not sure, but I didn't want to look into it too much. So the camera has to be going facing this way. If I flip it the other way where this cable is coming out this side, the image is upside down on the display. And it's probably not a big deal, but I don't know. Anyway, I got the cable going up here in the corner just over the top edge, and then it's tucked in behind here all the way down, and I'm going to continue that all the way up to the front and then route the cable. Now it does say you can go up top and run it up through here, but I don't know, I just didn't want to do that. I figured on the ground was easier and shorter maybe. All right, in order to fish from the other side, I used an arrow, and hopefully, there you go, shoved it. All you need is something straight. And then there we go, and just taped it on there. That made it a lot easier than trying to do it without a stick or something. All right, so that cable we just fished through is going back through there. We had to take the panel off again, and we put the arrow in from the other side, as you saw, and poked it out and then just taped it to the end and pulled it through. It was way easier than trying to shove it through. And the wiring is going up behind the carpet and then all along the edges of the right underneath here. So it'll be nice and clean. Okay, and now the trick is we want this wire. This is the wire that's going over up to plug into this and from the USB, and we want the back camera to go up the same route, but I don't want to tear all this stuff out down here to do it. So we're going to use this wire and fish it down here and then tape it to the end of that cable, and we should be able to pull it up, and then from there tie it to this string and then pull it on up through. All right, string worked perfect, so did the wire. And you can see it's in here behind these cables and coming out the top. Now we just got to put it all together. All right, so we got it up there and we got the wires routed. It's a lot better than big suction cup, and I'm not going to have to do any drilling. Now when I put this on, the cables are going to push up on this a little bit probably, and I didn't want to cut a notch out, but it should snap down in place fairly easy without damaging these cables. Put a little slack in there just to make sure. But that's what it's going to look like, and it works better than a suction cup. All right, real quick, I got it snapped into place. It is pushing it up in there. I don't know if you can see it, but it is kind of making that lip stick out a little bit, but you don't notice it because this thing's in here, so you don't see it. And if it does warp it, I mean, I'm sure that's a fairly inexpensive piece when it comes time to needing to replace it or what have you. But for now, I think we're pretty happy with the setup, and now I just got to figure out how to operate this thing and get the back camera on there, shown on there. I know there's different modes and stuff, but anyway, there you go. And just wanted to give you a driver's point of view of what it would look like. So I might do some, that's going to be in the way of the camera. I figured out the back camera on there, but it's working. So that's what it looks like. And then this, before I let you guys go, this, they make extra large phone holder things. I've got one of those, and the plan is when I get a radar detector, I broke my old one. So when I get another radar detector, I'm going to probably do something similar, run the cable up through there, and then the phone holder, extra large phone holder, will hold the radar detector, and I'll have to use, this one I'll have to use the cigarette lighter port probably. But there you go, looks pretty clean. That's the only really wire shown is right there.